Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Stand Up Podcast. Today I am joined by...
Oh, is that my turn?
That's your turn, Matt.
Hey, I'm Matt Broberg.
Oh,
Oh,
a small little introduction of who Matt Broberg is.
sure. Hey, I'm Matt Broberg. I work on community projects mostly in our enterprise space. Most recently, VP of Community at Sensu, and I focus a lot on how maintainers are participating in open source software, as well as how you quantify and show value of a community program. Both of those are the intersection of what I love right now.
Are you already thinking of the questions that I'm going to ask you here? Because
Never.
One of the reasons I actually have Matthew on as a guest today is I read his recent blog post about the ROI of a sticker, right? But this actually goes into, it's only a subset of, and we'll get into that a little bit down the road here. You actually did a presentation on Community Metrics, our Trojan horse. Now, being an analytic guy, being a community lover, it really piqued my interest. Now, I remember when you originally gave this presentation a few years ago, but I really liked how you resurfaced it because it made me start thinking again. First, why don't you tell me your concept or your thought process behind why are metrics a Trojan horse?
Sure. And a little background for the audience. So I got to keynote at Community Leadership Summit 2017 and talked about metrics. I used the fun idea that metrics are a Trojan horse to real relationships. That's the core of it. And, I kind of thought it was done. And then this year at CLS, the Community Leadership Summit, multiple people brought it back up saying that, it's still an unsolved problem. Your talk was still great. Have we gotten any further in a year? And the answer is not really. It's still hard to know how to talk about community in a way that a company understands. Mm-hmm. So when I say communities are metrics are Trojan horse, it's this idea that you have to measure what you're doing if you're a community leader in order to justify your existence, to put it boldly. I start with the unpopular opinion that companies are designed to make money, and the direct path for money does not necessarily go through community. It's very unclear on how we justify our value, while other organizations like sales sells the product, that's money. Engineers build the product, that's money. Marketing and support, they support those other functions. Those are money, but one step removed. Community, we kind of dabble in hugs and high fives. And we need to talk a little bit more about at least how we quantify things in meaningful ways so that we can continue to be funded.
I like it. Now you made me remember, I think, was it Fred one year was going around, was it Barcelona with a free hug sign?
Oh, Fred Nix, yes, back in the day.
So you made me think of that, community and hugs. Yeah, I would have to agree with you there on that. And you can't see it, but I have another screen being recorded here with your presentation up, right?
Oh, great.
And I actually brought up your slide that shows the sales, engineering, marketing, and the free hugs aspect of it. I'm going to really, really spice it up for my son, Junior. Junior. He's actually going to be my video producer, so I'm really going to have fun with him to make him somehow incorporate these other slides into this presentation. Nice. I got to change it up a little bit.
Love it. Keep it fresh.
But one of the things is besides hugs, right? How did you come about the ROI of a sticker, right? Because stickers and hugs are two different things, right? And I know sure. Stickers are more just a metaphorically sense. Am I taking that right? The actual
No. Sticker? I meant it quite literally, but the
explain why though.
Sure, happy to. The thing with it was meant as a joke, and what was funny is that the joke was really effective. So I talk about the ROI of a sticker, and the ROI of a sticker is not clear in and of itself. But if you start to compare it to other things, in my example in the talk, I compare the awareness impact of having a sticker being visible on someone's laptop as they're keynoting a talk, something I was doing at the time. Yeah. How does that compare to the return on investment of awareness content and the number of eyes that receives? So the idea is, how do I equate this to something that's already valued in the business and the business already invests in? And they don't ever say, well, what's the value of that? content is going to be paid for and it's going to be written because it's an easier to understand value for marketing. This newer adoption of stickers as part of the tribal instinct of enterprise IT people, it's not as present to people, so they reject it. But I brought up stickers and did a little bit of napkin math to prove that it could have value, just as a point of giving somebody who doesn't get it a sense of getting it in a monetary way. That the ROI of stickers can actually be 5x or up to 75x more effective for the money spent. But that's not to say that stickers it's an either or and you should invest in stickers instead of content. It's just to say that it is possible to have a relative value that is meaningful to the business and then equate that to something that seems to be intangible. So I'm really challenging all of us as community leaders to step up our game, think about what people actually value in the business, and compare and contrast that in ways that people that have budgets can understand.
Yeah, no, so you bring up some valid points here. Now, one thing I will say, like, I'm just learning more about Microsoft Cloud. We'll use that as an example. I know Ashley McNamara very well. She's a good friend of yours. She designed the Cloud Ops Advocates stickers, right?
Yeah.
And I would also think that, they're actually really nice stickers. There's a sticker that I personally would put on my laptop. Now, I don't put all stickers on my laptop. I think sometimes you have to kind of have a good design around that.
Sure.
But I like how the sticker does bring attention, because if you see a sticker, you'll be like, oh, hey, what sticker is that? Whoa, oh, that's from Geek Whisperers, right? I remember the Geek Whisperers sticker is one of the ones that I had on there. People ask what that is. You then start to tell them. Or if they look at Ashley McNamara's Gophers and stuff and be like, hey, that's actually some pretty nice appealing artwork. It brings up that extra dimension of a conversation over something so trivial. And it does supplement stuff.
Yeah, and
greater content. It's a small piece of content, but it's a fun piece of content.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. And like, people find it fun, and fun is engaging. And a lot of the content that organizations push out that were contracted out and kind of fluffy keyword searches, SEO has its place, but it's not as effective at getting people's attention and sustaining their attention. And to your point, like, stickers used to be, do you have a sticker at all? That's cool. But that was 10 years ago. It's 2018. And if you're getting on the sticker train, you actually have to invest in beautiful design, because there's a limited amount of landscape people will put it on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not about stickers, right? Because enamel pins are really popular right now. Socks have come and gone. It's really like, how are you investing in a brand, and what does that brand give its audience that they actually value? And that's the thing. And then the next question is, can you know the value? Can you derive a value, a reasonable estimate at what value you're bringing, so that I know if I invest more, I get more, and if I don't invest anymore, I lose something? Because I think most of what our community work does is we say, well, you don't get it. It's really important. People value it. And then we never explain why. And then the budget's gone in a couple of years in every large organization I've talked to. So I think it's, unfortunately or fortunately, an opportunity to figure out how to explain this better, so that funding is sustained and the value that we add is valued.
Well, speaking just on the aspect or the topic of stickers fundamentally aren't that expensive from a budget standpoint. So for marketing swag, right, you could argue that 1,000 stickers is much cheaper than 1,000 pens or t-shirts, right? Because t-shirts are higher cost. And
Sure.
you could possibly get better ROI or user engagement in the long term than over someone's t-shirt that's going to end up in someone's drawer.
Yeah, I would just challenge you and say that that's a bit of a losing argument, in the sense that if you're saying it's an either or, or you're now challenging the value of stickers against something people are going to buy, whether you buy stickers or not. And it's also something that they already see as an unnecessary cost. So you're relegating stickers to being seen as an unnecessary cost. It's just another thing marketers waste their money on. I'm being facetious, I don't believe that, but to put yourself in the other person's shoes that's actually, challenging the budget and questioning how it's spent. The question is, how do I understand how stickers or t-shirts or pens affect our ability to acquire customers or sustain a relationship with customers, or people that will help us get further customers. So like I don't think it's good to compare the things we're producing. I think it's important to compare it to things that aren't being produced, like the content that we're paying for, or how much a full headcount would cost when comparing advocates that you've empowered externally versus hiring an advocate. That's a great way to position it. They're just these relative values, and we have to get a little bit away from what we're paying for in order to see the contrast and really show that value.
Yeah, no. So what I mean by what I was trying to get at, and maybe I didn't specify it clearly enough, is when people are looking at budget stuff and say the cost of creating stickers is relatively inexpensive, so why not include that in your budget? You know what I mean? Like you're already spending all this money on all this other stuff. What is $1,000 to a company? We'll just use HP or HPE or Dell or one of these other companies, or even some of the smaller
Massive
startups.
Megacorp. Gotcha.
Yeah, like to them that $1,000 is nothing. They're going to spend that on dinner and drinks with the customer.
Yeah.
Right. And the impact could be far greater down the road for the community. So
but that's again, it's like, how do we make a point that resonates with the people? So if they're saying, if it's really how you complete the thought. If you're saying like, well, this will be valuable maybe in 6 years, they don't care. $1,000 on a dinner that makes you $5 million is worth more than $1,000 that might make money in a while.
That is true. That is
true. Yeah. So it's, and that's really what I want to bring up here, right? Like, I don't have all the answers. No one does really, but it is really fun to me to try to position these in a way that makes sense to a business and makes sense to others. And I think a lot of us have these anecdotes that have been really effective, and we need to start sharing them more. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask you what your final thoughts are, and I almost think you just summed it up right there. So let me ask you this real quick.
Sure.
Within your presentation, you say, I think your work is bullshit, right? On the ROI on stickers really means I think your work is bullshit.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So could you leave us with that final thought on what you were thinking about on that particular slide?
Definitely, yeah. And to that point, it's the gut check of this whole thing is that it goes to our point about T-shirts or pens or stickers. If somebody's asking you for the ROI on something you're producing, they probably don't value what you're doing, and telling them the exact ROI on something isn't going to convince them of that. You can do all the math you want, but they don't value you or the work that you do. So you're not communicating in a way that they care about. And if you care what that person thinks, don't just answer the direct question of the ROI of it. Go explore how to define ROI and what they value, and get an executive sponsor, connect with them. Like, there is more work to be done if you want to be valued and you want to do community work at the same time.
Cool. I like it. And I want to thank you for taking the time to record this podcast. I'm sure I will volunteer you for voluntold you for another one. I like to steal Fraps because he likes to volunteer people for the V Brown Bag presentations. So I just want to thank you again for your time, and to the listeners, until next time.
Thanks.